Welcome. This is Soothing Whispers ASMR. As always, if there are any sounds or words you would like to hear me perform, please leave them below in the comments. Tonight, I thought we could enjoy some more of the wonderful Fables by Aesop. So sit back, relax, and enjoy these moralistic tales. I may not be judging you, but the fables certainly are. The Wolf and the Shepherd. A wolf, lurking near the shepherd's hut, saw the shepherd and his family feasting on a roasted lamb. Ah, the wolf muttered, what a great shouting and running about there would have been had they caught me at just the very thing they are doing with so much enjoyment. Moral: men often condemn others for what they see no wrong in doing themselves. The Goatherd and the Goat. A goat strayed away from the flock, tempted by a patch of clover. The goatherd tried to call it back, but in vain. The goat would not obey him. Then the goatherd picked up a stone and threw it, breaking the goat's horn. The goatherd was frightened. Do not tell the master, he begged the goat. No, said the goat, that broken horn can speak for itself. Moral: wicked deeds will not stay hid. Next up is the miser. A miser had buried his gold in a secret place in his garden. Every day he went to the spot, dug up the treasure, and counted it piece by piece to make sure it all was there. He made so many trips that a thief who had been observing him guessed what it was the miser had hidden, and one night quietly dug up the treasure and made off with it. When the miser discovered his loss, he was overcome with grief and despair. He groaned and cried and tore his hair. A passer-by heard his cries and asked what had happened. My gold, oh, my gold, cried the miser wildly. Someone has robbed me. Your gold, there in that hole? Why did you put it there? Why did you not keep it in the house where you could easily get it when you had to buy things? Buy! Screamed the miser angrily. Why, I never touched the gold. I couldn't think of spending any of it. The stranger picked up a large stone and threw it into the hole. If that is the case, the stranger said, cover up that stone. It is worth just as much to you as the treasure you lost. Moral: a possession is worth no more than the use we make of it. The Wolf and the House Dog. There was once a wolf who got very little to eat because the dogs of the village were so wide awake and watchful. The wolf was really nothing but skin and bones, and it made him very downhearted to think of it. One night this wolf happened to fall in with a fine fat house dog who had wandered a little too far from home. The wolf would gladly have eaten the dog then and there, but the house dog looked strong enough to leave his marks should the wolf try it. So the wolf spoke very humbly to the dog, complimenting him on his fine appearance. "You can be as well fed as I am if you want to," replied the dog. "Leave the woods. There you live miserably. Why, you have to fight hard for every bite you get. Follow my example and you will get along beautifully." "What must I do?" asked the wolf. "Hardly anything," answered the house dog. "Chase people who carry canes, bark at beggars, and fawn on the people of the house. In return you will get tidbits of every kind, chicken bones, choice bits of meat, sugar, cake, and much more beside, not to speak of kind words and caresses." The wolf had such a beautiful vision of his coming happiness that he almost wept, but just then he noticed that the hair on the dog's neck was worn and the skin was chafed. "What is that on your neck?" "Nothing at all," replied the dog. "What, nothing?" the wolf asked. "Oh, just a trifle." "But please tell me," the wolf begged. "Perhaps you see the mark of the collar to which my chain is fastened." "What, a collar?" cried the wolf. "Don't you go wherever you please?" "Not always, but what's the difference?" replied the dog. "All the difference in the world. I don't care a rap for your feasts, and I wouldn't take all the tender young lambs in the world at that price." And away ran the wolf to the woods. Moral: there is nothing worth so much as liberty. I have to think my dog would disagree with that one. She seems very content with her lot in life, where she has no responsibilities, no punishments when she fails at her lack of responsibilities, and her one real job is to be happy. Well, I think she at least is very content, although the wolf might disagree. The Fox and the Hedgehog. A fox, swimming across a river, was barely able to reach the bank, where he lay bruised and exhausted from his struggle with the swift current. Soon a swarm of blood-sucking flies settled on him, but he lay quietly, still too weak to run away from them. A hedgehog happened by. "Let me drive the flies away," he said kindly. "No, no," exclaimed the fox, "do not disturb them. They have taken all they can hold. If you drive them away, another greedy swarm will come and take the little blood I have left." Moral: better to bear a lesser evil than to risk a greater in removing it. The Bat and the Weasels. A bat blundered into the nest of a weasel, who ran up to catch him and eat him. The bat begged for his life, but the weasel would not listen. "You are a mouse," he said, "and I am a sworn enemy of mice, Every mouse I catch, I am going to eat." "But I am not a mouse," cried the Bat. "Look at my wings. Can mice fly? Why, I am only a bird. Please let me go." The Weasel had to admit that the Bat was not a mouse, so he let him go. But a few days later, the foolish Bat went blindly into the nest of another Weasel. This Weasel happened to be a bitter enemy of birds, and he soon had the Bat under his claws, ready to eat him. "You are a bird," he said, "and I am going to eat you." "What?" cried the Bat. "I, a bird? Why, all birds have feathers. I am nothing but a mouse. Down with all cats is my motto." And so the Bat escaped with his life a second time. Moral: set your sails with the wind. I think some of these fables have morals that contradict one another. Maybe that's just me, but they seem a little contradictory. I don't know. What do you think about that? The Quack Toad. An old toad once informed all his neighbors that he was a learned doctor. In fact, he could cure anything. The fox heard the news and hurried to see the toad. He looked the toad over very carefully. "Mr. Toad," the fox said, "I've been told that you can cure anything. But just take a look at yourself, and then try some of your own medicine. If you can cure yourself of that blotchy skin and that rhythmic gait, someone might believe you. Otherwise, I should advise you to try some other profession." Moral: those who would mend others should first mend themselves. The Fox Without a Tail. A fox that had been caught in a trap succeeded at last, after much painful tugging, in getting away, but he had to leave his beautiful bushy tail behind him. For a long time the fox kept away from the other foxes, for he knew well enough that they would all make fun of him and crack jokes and laugh behind his back. But it was hard for the fox to live alone, and at last he thought of a plan that would perhaps help him out of his trouble. He called a meeting of all the foxes, saying that he had something of great importance to tell the tribe. When they were all gathered together, the fox without a tail got up and made a long speech about those foxes who had come to harm because of their tails. This one had been caught by hounds when his tail had become entangled in the hedge. That one had not been able to run fast enough because of the weight of his brush. Besides, it was well known, the tailless fox said, that men hunt foxes simply for their tails, which they then cut off as prizes of the hunt. With such proof of the danger and uselessness of having a tail, said Master Fox, he would advise every fox to cut it off if he valued his life and safety. When he had finished talking, an old fox arose and said, smiling, "Master Fox, kindly turn around for a moment, and then you shall have your answer." When the poor fox without a tail turned around, there arose such a storm of jeers and hooting that he saw how useless it was to try and persuade the foxes to part with their tails. Moral: do not listen to the advice of him who seeks to lower you to his own level. And for our final fable of the evening, please enjoy the Mischievous Dog. There was once a dog who was so ill-natured and mischievous that his master had to fasten a heavy wooden clog about his neck to keep him from annoying visitors and neighbors. But the dog seemed to be very proud of the clog, and dragged it about noisily as if he wished to attract everybody's attention. He was not able to impress anyone. "You would be wiser," said an old acquaintance, "to keep quietly out of sight with that clog. Do you want everybody to know what a disgraceful and ill-natured dog you are?" Moral: notoriety is not fame. Not sure I agree with that one. There's that old saying, all news is good news, or all press is good press, something about that, how negative news can still be beneficial for you. But anyway, I digress. As always, I wish you a wonderful day and a wonderful night. Sweet dreams.